Hey everybody, I'm Chris Rusakis, and this is the Creative Mindset Podcast. And today I'm with my special guest, Alex Winch, also known as Sand Winch, also known as Ottawa's coolest cat. He's the owner of Hometown Ottawa, which is a creative agency in Ottawa, which specializes in digital marketing, graphic design, and making some pretty rad clothing from time to time. Thank you for being here, Alex.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
It's nice to see you again. It's been a little while.
It's good to see you.
Yeah. Alex and I have known each other for a couple years now, meeting through a great group of people, creatives in the city. And we've had the chance to work together on many projects. I'm probably, I would say, I don't even know what I want to say here. I'm definitely not nice to you as a freelancer sometimes, I think.
What are you talking about? You're the easiest photographer I've ever worked with.
I feel like I give you a hard time sometimes.
That's fair. I feel like I dish it right back. So
Yes, you do.
I think we're on the same
think
page.
you question a lot of my thought process sometimes, and it just I don't like when people question my thought process, but you challenge me, so I appreciate that. Some interesting things about Alex that I think are worth noting. You are also like an avid skateboarder and are very much involved with the skateboard community in Ottawa. Maybe we start there. How did that come to fruition for you? Was that like at a young age that you took up skateboarding?
Yeah, I think it was probably Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a classic story that gets a lot of people into it. Just started playing the game around probably age 10, and then was kind of blown away by it in the culture. Started skating, begged my parents for the Walmart setup or whatever.
Okay, you didn't go straight to West 49.
No, I didn't even know what any of that was yet. So, yeah, got whatever set up just to get started, and just started we had a gravel driveway, but we had a paved entrance way.
Yeah.
It wasn't long at all, but I would spend hours trying to ollie or whatever on that.
Yeah.
And kind of went from there. I skated with my brother too, and we just built hella ramps. Eventually started working at a skate shop, and then that kind of connected.
That's cool. I didn't
me.
even know that about you.
That kind of connected me more to the skate community in Ottawa, and that was hella fun for sure.
And I think a lot of people are more aware now than back then about the X Games, or even seeing snowboarding involved in the Winter Olympics now. There's a huge creative process that goes into coming up with the trick routine that will be used in a set, or even creating a new trick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever encounter that?
Yeah, I mean, it can be as simple even as just how you push down the street. You can even refine it back to just pushing down the street, taking a new route, maybe bombing a different hill.
Right.
But then, it can totally transfer over to, learning tricks, trying to incorporate different styles into your tricks.
Yeah.
It definitely is an art form. And it's funny that you mentioned the Olympics, because on one hand, it's good that skateboarding is getting more exposure on a worldwide scale. But on the other hand, being an art form, it's can you really judge it like that? Can you really assign points to an art form? There's both sides of the coin.
That would be amazing, actually, if the Summer Olympics had outdoor portraiture.
Yeah.
And it was just me out there snapping pics, and they're like, "Oh no, his light is way too high."
Yeah.
Minus 0.10 points.
Exactly.
And the Russian judge obviously is going to screw me over.
True.
Shout out Ukraine, by the way. And you know what? On that note, I do want to bring up that we're still not sponsored by Bubbly. I'm not sure if you've been watching previous episodes, but we've had a little bit of traction regarding a social media video that we did. I'm still hopeful that this is going to happen, but in the meantime, out of protest, we're cracking ahas today, guys.
All right, let's get it.
You wanna take a sip with me?
Yeah, let's do a
All
little
right.
crackarooski here.
Yeah, do it close to the mic so everybody. There we go. Beautiful. Oops.
So yeah, bubbly, send that bag.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty parched throughout the day, looking at a computer screen or clicking a button, right? So, always need that little sparkling water, flavored sparkling water. Anyways, let's get back into our conversation here. I think it's interesting that skateboarding, even for me, it started exactly at the same time. I had heard about this video game, Tony Hawk. I fell in love with it right away. It was such a great game. Was it on N64?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I was definitely playing it on N64. Everybody was playing it on N64,
Mm-hmm.
and it was almost this like overnight. By like that happened in, this June of that whatever year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Maybe 2000, like right
No,
around
it
the
was before
millennium.
that.
Yeah.
no. Well, you know what? In the edit, we're gonna bring it up, and I'm gonna look like an idiot at some point, and they're gonna make my head
We're
explode.
both gonna look down.
Yeah. So
Probably.
I'm gonna guess 2000. No, I'm gonna guess 99. You're
Okay.
gonna say 2000.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see what happens after this. But that came out in June, and by that Christmas, I feel everybody was asking for a skateboard for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And where I'm getting to with this is that was definitely the first realm of creativity that I felt in my life, because you got to pick your deck, pick a deck that represents you, incorporates a lot of graphic design.
There you go.
And I think, you look at a lot of decks today, and I still would buy a creative design over the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And there was definitely a point in time where I feel there was almost a race for who had like the best graphic designers for their decks. Like I'm remembering that Chad Muska Shorty's deck, Silhouette,
Classic.
iconic skateboard. Even the designs that were used in World Industries.
Yeah, I
deck,
was gonna say
like-
for sure. World, yeah.
nobody can top that.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss that in skate culture, because it's funny that you brought up Walmart, because West 49 is really now a Walmart brand deck. It's
Right.
sold there. It's produced for Walmart. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting creativity that takes place in that community. And I'm wondering, is that where your initial thoughts of maybe entering graphic design was from the skate community?
Yeah, I think it's just like you said, when you're a kid and you see the graphics and I did get that Walmart board first, but like eventually I did, get mom to pull up to West 49 in Riders Village. Shout out Riders Village, because we were in Carp, so Canada was like the closest kind of part of the city, right? So you walk in and it's just like that wall of boards.
Yeah.
And it's just so much like gloss and graphics, and it's just like you're foaming at the mouth as a kid, just being like, this is the coolest shit ever. Like,
Have you ever designed a skate deck by chance?
when I was working at On Deck, I got to design a few of their boards. So shout out Trevor at On Deck for that opportunity.
And is On Deck still around?
Yeah, they are actually.
they are?
Yeah, like 35 years, something like that.
Do they still have that spot behind the Costco?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. We'll shout them out for sure in the comments or description of the video. So tell me about that path to going to school for graphic design. What brought you to that point where you're like, I know that this is the life that I want to submerge myself into?
Yeah, there was like, the timeline kind of goes all over the place, because I think I knew when I was in like grade 9 that obviously I was always stoked on the designs of the boards, designs of album artwork, like buying CDs and shit, the magazines, like reading Thrasher and SBC and all this stuff. And then I got to grade 9 and took fine art. And in high school, at my high school at least, we were fortunate enough to have like media arts, computer arts, all this other stuff that kind of immersed me in that world. And then I think it was around that time that I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get the hell out of high school, to be honest. Like my marks were okay, but I didn't love the environment. We were in the country, and
Right.
and it was just like the same, like a lot of the same kind of people. Not that that's a bad thing, but I just wanted to kind of get into the city and explore, different culture and
Yeah,
and
it's
that kind of thing.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I was watching this episode of Abstract, which is this Netflix show, and they had Paula Scher on, who works for Pentagram. She's one of the partners, and she lives just outside of New York City, but keeps a place in New York City because she said if she stayed at their, house,
Right.
and I'm guessing, I don't even want to take a guess, but it's outside the city kind of thing. There was a lot of space, and she said if I just stayed there, I wouldn't have any ideas,
Right.
and I wouldn't be able to come up with the concepts that I do for the clients that I have. And I definitely feel that. I've been to New York City. I've obviously been to Toronto and even Metro Montreal. There's a lot of typeface that you see and a lot of colors that you don't get to experience unless you're within the city limits kind of thing, right?
For sure.
And for someone that, I don't know if you specialize in typeface, but you definitely explore it a lot.
Yeah.
With the work that you do. How do you even get the ideas for new type? Because it's not easy,
Yeah, I mean, I think just to kind of go back to that timeline, once I graduated high school or whatever, I went to school for multimedia design
Right.
and just explored like everything from 3D modeling to video and
Yeah.
every aspect of graphic design, and they kind of throw everything at you and you have to choose what you want to do. And then I also realized that within graphic design, you kind of have to do that as well. Like you kind of have to pick a lane and right away lettering, hand lettering, type, all that stuff probably jumped out at me the most, and that's why I kind of took that path.
And what's the term called? Because you're doing it all by hand. There's a proper term for it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you can call it hand lettering or
Hand
calligraphy.
Okay.
Technically, it's not type unless it's a typeset, which means you're doing the full alphabet, numerals,
Right,
et
because
cetera.
you would pull that into a program
Yeah.
and from the raw stage
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then manipulate it through computer
Yeah.
generated software.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess back to this typeface portion of your creativity. I'm seeing pieces that are very unique. Stuff that I feel like I'm seeing for the first time. How do you get to that point where you're like, okay, this pen stroke or this color is gonna the direction that I'm going? I can't put it into, I can break down a photo shoot, but I can't break down how someone creates text. That's for sure.
I spent probably, like when I realized that I wanted to focus on lettering, I spent probably 5 years practicing, like, I'll say a handful of different styles, because those were the ones that I liked the most, like script, like, slab, sans serif, that kind of thing. And then last year, I decided to do this challenge. It's like an online thing called 36 Days of Type.
Yes.
And basically, I wanted to do each letter of the alphabet and numbers 0 through 9. That's a challenge. Basically, you can do it however you want. What I wanted to do was each character with a different tool. And it got to the point where I was running through like every marker that I had, every paintbrush, whatever, So I'm like, okay, now I got to think outside the box. So I started thinking like, what else can I draw with? So like I tried things like Q-tips, toothpicks. I took a beer can and I chopped it up and like made like a tab out of it and dipped it in watercolor. And I guess doing that kind of pushed me to explore some different styles, and obviously different mediums with it, and get kind of experimental with it a little bit.
Yeah, I, I saw that photo of the 2022 graphic that you had made, and you're using a plastic fork to get the stroke of the arch on the two.
Yeah.
And I loved the creativity that comes from working outside of the box with a product that is not meant typically to be used to create type, but you did. And we're going to show that graphic that you made on screen just so people can see, but it's very unique in the sense that I feel like you created it, like almost you should explore that further and keep it going.
Right.
Create the whole alphabet. I know S's are, pretty tough.
Yeah.
But you start with, what is it, an H and an O? That's the rule of thumb. And that's how you start a new typeface, is you see how that equates to those two letters. Is that right?
Depending on the style, yeah, like some letters are going to transfer over to others like really seamlessly. So if you do create a few, you can kind of use that as a template for the rest.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Alex, I'm going to take an opportunity here. Now, you're a good friend of mine, and I wanted to roast you a little bit on this show.
Fair.
And I thought it would be really fun to go back to your Twitter, which hasn't been used in a really long time.
Oh, shit.
And I dug up some tweets that are just very interesting tweets. Obviously, I'm not me tooing you here or anything, but I'm going to read you some tweets and I'm going to get your thoughts on them now. This one's from 11 years ago.
Wow.
And it's pretty interesting because I know who you are now.
Right.
But you say, glad I never created an account. Hashtag boycott Instagram.
True.
When I saw that, I was just like, it's funny that you have, 3 accounts and you probably manage another 5 for
At least,
clients
yeah.
of yours.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. What was going through your head at the moment in December 18th, 2012?
I actually never had a Facebook account until recently.
Okay.
I was never stoked on Facebook, and honestly, still not really. It's kind of a necessary evil.
Yeah.
I do like Instagram because the creative community is inspiring on there.
Yeah.
But at that point, I guess I was just feeling a type of way and not really into it yet. But here we are. And yeah, we're on there.
I got you. All right. As you know, earlier I introduced you as Sandwich, which used to be an account that you held on Instagram.
Yeah.
But you went as far as saying Sandwich is just a dumb, stupid name like Sinbad or Sting.
Yeah.
Hashtag Nardwar.
Yeah.
You're making fun of your own nickname. What's up there?
Yeah, I mean, it is a dumb name, but I think all the best ones are.
Yeah.
Especially when it's something that you're coming up with for yourself, it should probably be stupid. And I gotta say, shout out Nardwar, because those are the best interviews I think that exist. And yeah, I mean, in the famous Pharrell one, he explains, like Pharrell actually starts interviewing him in the OG Pharrell interview, the first one they did, and he asks Nardwar how he came up with the name, and he was just like, yeah, it's just a dumb name.
Interesting. Now, as a man who owns property, and has a really nice car. I think this next one is going to shock you. In May 21st, 2014, you said, anyone that relates success to a monetary value is only playing themselves.
Yeah, you know what? I think that one still holds true to a certain extent. Like, we're on the art pod right now.
We are.
So I'll say that I think what you do on the day to day, whether that's creative or not, if you love it, that's way more important than money, but still get that bag though.
Exactly. Bag. All right, the last one that I have for you. And I think it was just funny for me to read this because I can picture Alex Winch in this mindset. You were in school at the time and you wrote 4 hours of school in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, then another 8 hours of work, #dying. Is that still your life? Minus the schooling? Are you putting, these 16-hour days in?
Yeah. Yeah, 100% for sure.
And as like a sole proprietor of a business, you hire me, you hire a bunch of other people to assist you in the practices of your business. I moved away from the freelance life for somewhat that reason, the long days, What's that like for you, keeping creative after, putting in, the 13th hour, the 14th hour, the 15th hour?
Yeah, I think it's well. First of all, that doesn't happen all the time, right?
No,
like
it
some
doesn't.
days just aren't creative days.
Some days we sit in our underwear and watch Curb Your Enthusiasm for the whole day.
100%. Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, it is the longer hours. I will say that in my 30s, I've kind of found a better routine and the importance of that, and that's helped a lot. And even just little things like switching up the environment. Like, you can't sit at a computer for that amount of time. Like, even like I have a hard time sitting at a desk with no breaks for like I'll do 2 or 3 hours and then I gotta hop on the bike or I gotta eat lunch or whatever.
Well, shout out Omar too, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Omar is Alex's little dog, who's a great friend of mine too. We'll show a picture, obviously. But I think I'm always curious about, especially in the day and age of COVID, how freelancers are managing the stresses of operating a creative business during this time. What kind of adversities have you experienced in the last 2 years? We're approaching 2 years, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, being a digital marketing company, the pandemic, we did see some growth as a result of the pandemic. So then it's, the challenges surrounding scaling, hiring more people, but that's also awesome because I get to work with more people like you. I didn't really get to do that as much before. So I've, been able to hire help, that kind of thing. So it's definitely a lot more management kind of tasks that I've had to take on as a result of that. But I mean, besides that, just with everything that's been happening in the world, it's definitely a lot to also try to run a business and, be productive and stay creative, stay focused. So yeah, it's totally challenging for sure.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you also added to your workload through a personal project during the pandemic. Is that correct? The clothing line of Hometown Ottawa?
That was that was actually more in the works before, and I kind of took a break from that during COVID. Yeah, I mean, I think I started that like 2018. As far as I had done the designs way before that, but as far as actually printing it, probably 2017, 2018. Started doing some markets around town. It's also an outlet for us to connect with the community a little bit. We've got a charitable aspect of it too that we're doing.
Yeah, tell us more about Hometown as a whole from the soft goods side. I think you're now doing t-shirts, hoodies.
Yeah, we've done some lounge wear.
Was
as
there
they
some
say.
hats as well?
Haven't done hats, but I'm trying
No
to
hats.
for sure. Yeah,
No hats. Sorry, guys. No
coming
hats.
soon. Coming soon still.
So yeah, tell us more about this. I'm interested. I want to hear all about it.
I started basically, you know, going on walks and bike rides, that sort of thing, and noticing, some dope stuff in our city as far as landmarks and things that typically you don't see. So obviously, when you think of Ottawa, you think Parliament buildings, things like that. I kind of wanted to put some of the focus on some of the other areas that you can explore that maybe some people
That's
don't
right,
even
because
know
the
about.
clothes incorporate a design of cityscapes
Yeah.
from around Ottawa.
Yeah.
One of my favorites being the train tracks. Where is that? Close to city center, leading
Yeah.
towards Gatineau.
Yeah.
I think that one was one of my favorite that you had done. And what was the hope with that project? Was it to raise money, or was it a creative outlet, or both? Or?
Definitely both. Yeah. Yeah, it's something that I'd like to pursue more. I took a break on it through the pandemic just because it almost felt weird selling stuff. Like I know a lot of companies ran up their e-commerce, but I didn't have the drive to do it at that time. It's coming back now, so we're going to do some markets and we're going to run it up a bit. But yeah, it's definitely another outlet for designs that I wasn't really doing elsewhere that I wanted to kind of put down on paper and explore also apparel and printing and everything that goes along with that. I'm not printing personally, but even just dealing with those businesses as well and how it all comes together.
Very cool. Very cool. And the charitable aspect of it, I think I maybe cut you off there. It's $5 donation from every sale towards which foundation?
There's a few different ones.
Okay.
Yeah, and they rotate.
Oh, they rotate.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. Now, I would like to ask you some harder questions, if that's okay with you.
All right, let's do it.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. They're not that hard. Don't worry.
Okay.
I think it's just interesting for someone. You and I are both around the same age, and I still feel pretty young at heart, and I also feel like I'm not the most experienced guy in the room, but I can also take a bird's eye view of the industry, and I see some fundamental things changing. We have the NFTs starting, something that you're probably keeping a close eye on. Where do you see, as a broad scope, the graphics design world going in the next couple of years?
Yeah, it's almost dizzying to think of the possibilities, and I mean, there's certain things I like about whatever Web 3.0 and metaverse NFTs. I think out of all that stuff, I definitely dig the NFT thing more than the aforementioned because it's a focus on art and all different kinds of art. It's not just apes or whatever. It's literally photos, anything can be an NFT. And I think that's packaging creativity and selling it in a new way, which I think is dope. But the whole idea of living in a virtual world, I'm not really about it. I don't, maybe this will be like that Twitter thing where I'm hating on it now, and then in 10 years we're all doing this in the
I can't wait
in the
for
metaverse.
someone to reference this podcast
Yeah,
from you talking down on the metaverse.
yeah, exactly.
I remember there was this glove that you could get for the Super Nintendo that was supposed to have a force feedback. And I'm thinking about that a lot these days because people are saying, we're going to be able to put these suits on.
Right.
And it's give us this life lifelike feel to what we're experiencing in the metaverse. And all I'm thinking about is I hope the fuck it's better than that stupid glove
Yeah.
that came out for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Or like that duck hunt gun.
Yeah.
That was sick though. That was tight.
It was. Now, we've explored NFTs a little bit here, but as a whole, are you confident that the styles that we're creating these days, I've always felt this, that we're always at the forefront of whatever's going on, and it's because we're living in it, right? And I look back to the 90s and I'm like, man, I miss those times. I miss that design. I miss that type of photography or those style of action movies. How do you feel about the next generation of graphic designers, and what they're going to be creating?
I'm always stoked to see what the next generation is kind of cooking up. I definitely try to, where I can, get experimental with things, and I think that you have to try to do that. You can't always be doing the same thing. So, if kids are pushing the boundaries, I'm trying to see what they're doing. I'm backing it. But also for me, like my style, and I think what I like the most is very much like 50, 60 years ago, like that, like 60s, 70s, or
Mad
even
Men.
50s, whatever. Yeah, I mean, all those generations, like that's when, design is still being done by hand, that kind of thing. Like, so I mean, to me, that's probably what I still think is the most hype. But I mean, I'm always stoked to see what else is out there for sure.
Now, for you, is there any projects or avenues of design that you're thinking of exploring in the couple months ahead or years ahead?
I mean, I did think about getting into the NFT space. There's a lot of moving parts, so I don't know.
It's tough to navigate, that's for sure.
It's definitely, yeah, it's hard to navigate. And I mean, I think I'd also like to start rolling out kind of more like tutorials, learning programs, that kind of thing for people who, are coming up, might not have the resources to learn about design or marketing. Just try to create some content around that and put that out for free. That's definitely going to be a project.
That's great.
Maybe not in the next couple of months, but maybe in the next year, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope I haven't missed the NFT train, to be honest. I was talking to someone on Friday, and, this guy's always been a forward thinker, even with photography. He was creating GIFs before GIFs were GIFs. And I was just, when I heard him start talking about NFTs to me, I was like, fuck, I got to get on this ASAP.
Yeah.
So my last question to you is, just because there are a lot of students that watch these podcasts, what's your advice for young creatives these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think, some of the most important things for me are perfectionism is kind of the enemy of productivity. And that was something that I always struggled with a lot. I was diagnosed with OCD and depression at a very young age. And that luckily I found art and design and skateboarding, whatever, creativity, and that kind of helped. Like that really helped me out a lot. But it's always that battle of like, just making stuff versus like, is this good? Is it good enough? Like, that mental battle. So you kind of just have to, they call it like your left brain and your right brain. One's responsible for creativity, the other with logic. You pretty much, those two have to be tight. Like they have to be buds, to get things done. So yeah, don't let perfectionism get in the way of doing what you're stoked on. This is a cheesy one that everyone says, but yeah, you got to work hard. Like you actually have to do, like if you want to do something, you got to do it every day. Like fit that into your routine, and yeah, don't get discouraged. Just do what you're stoked on, and that's it. Have fun, baby.
That's perfect, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming out, doing this with us. We'll definitely have you back on in the future. But for everybody that's watching, thanks for tuning in. Remember to hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends about us. Give Alex a follow. We're going to put his deets up, especially his personal cell number. So give him a call if you need someone to talk to. But this is the Creative Mindset Podcast, and it was a pleasure taking you through this journey. Thanks so much, everybody. Stay tuned.